please welcome Oded and Gadi. Thank you very much. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Johnny and Oded. Thank you for joining me as well. I see that people are still gathering. By the way, Johnny paid for us to present in front of between 100 to 150 people. So when you see 150, Johnny, please stop the audience. Let me start by sharing my screen for a second. Oded, can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Let's hope that
Now
we
I
start.
do.
You do. Excellent. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. In a second, we will start with a quick introduction, but what we will be having on this session today, we'll start with a quick presentation. Oded will explain a little bit about Zim, which is, of course, a leading ocean carrier, which is taking a very unique, I would say, digital approach and innovative approach. Then I will explain a little bit about what Wave is, what we are doing with the blockchain, why we are doing it, and how we are doing it. And then we will even go to a quick demonstration in order for you to actually see how blockchain is being used already to digitize thousands of transactions every week already, which means that it's actually happening. Of course, the logistic world, the maritime shipping is, of course, aware of all our activity, but we thought that this excellent, I would say, stage here in Fintech Week Tel Aviv is also to present it to other segments of the industry, which we are approaching as well. So, a little bit about myself. I will start with that, and then you will go on to the next slides. So my name is Gadi Rushin, CEO and co-founder of Wave, coming with a lot of background from trade, actually no technological background. Of course, I have two co-founders, Ogar and Yair Sapir, which are extremely tech savvy and coming with a very rich background from cybersecurity, from all the different, I would say, interesting bodies across the IDF and Prime Minister Office. As for myself, again, I'm coming from the industry and heard about the blockchain already in 2013. No, I didn't buy enough Bitcoin, but we are trying to use this technology to digitize international trade. Oded?
Hi, Gadi. Thank you. First of all, there isn't enough Bitcoin, so there's always a need for more. Let me introduce myself. So I'm Oded Shachar. I'm the CTO for Zim for the last 5 years now. My background is software engineering, more than 25 years. And in Zim, I'm leading the innovation and new technology adoption. And engage with Wave for the last, Gadi, I think 4 years now, something like that.
At least, indeed.
Yes. So I'll be happy to share with you in this session a little bit about Zim and our experience with Wave. So to whom who don't really know Zim, we are a global ocean carrier. We mainly focus on container shipping. And we are one of the top 10 ocean carriers in the world. Our head office is in Israel, in Haifa, by the way. Since January 2021, we are a public company listed at the New York Stock Exchange. So if you, Gadi, go back, please.
Sure. Yes, please.
A few numbers about Zim, just to get a grasp of who we are. So Zim is a quite big company for the Israeli market, yes, and we have around 4,000 employees. We work in more than 300 ports. We have more than 200 offices, globally spread over more than 100 countries. We operate around 100 vessels. Most of them are chartered. This number is quite dynamic because we are a very agile company. We extend the fleet and minimize it according to the market conditions. And we finished year 2020 with a revenue of approximately $4 billion and an EBITDA of more than $1 billion. So, okay, regarding the our network and where we operate, so most of the Israelis know us as an Israeli company, but really most of our business, like more than 90% of our business, is outside Israel. So we are what we call a global niche carrier. It means that we work globally, but we are not working everywhere. We just work when we think that we have a competitive advantage. But as you can see in the slide, we have a pretty big network. And when we operate, we try to be big enough to make an impact in the trade. So most of our business is in the Trans-Pacific between the US and the Far East. We work also 20% of our business in the Atlantic, and the rest is intra-Asia and cross Suez, Latin America, Australia, and very spread around the globe. So you can move on, I think, Gadi, to the next slide. Usually when people hear about Zim, they don't really think of innovation. It's obviously container shipping. It sounds like a low-tech, not high-tech. However, because this industry is highly consolidated and there are not many companies in the market, there is no off-the-shelf products for shipping or for managing global shipping companies. So most of our applications are developed in-house. That's why we have a very big development team. We have around 400 people that are doing product development and deployment end-to-end. So you can say we have a small high-tech company within Zim. And our vision as a company is to be the most innovative company in the industry, meaning that we would like to lead the way and the rest will follow. That's why in our company vision, this is not an IT vision. It's innovating shipping for you, and that's where we are heading. So when we say innovation, our focus is innovative solutions and quick time to market. Nobody is willing to wait 2 or 3 years to have a product. We want to have the product ready in few months. And that's what we are doing in Zim. We are working different agile methodologies to deliver products to the business in a matter of months. You can move on, Gadi. So we divide our products to 3 different product categories. One is run the business, which is quite boring stuff, like ERP for shipping that we developed to handle all the operation of the business. We have another family, we call it smart solutions. All the solutions around data mining, machine learning, AI, business optimization, real-time decision making. Of course, we integrate it to our boring systems just to make it more fun. And finally, we have the products that we aim for the customer. This is customer-facing products, and this is what you see in this slide, how we improve the customer experience. So we have the regular stuff like a website, which is in our case not so regular because our website is packed with all operational information for the customers, tightly integrated to our systems. And we have MyZim and our mobile app that we developed for the benefit of the customers to have a self-service, the same as you have a bank account application. And we have EasyQuote and eZim. This is platforms for spot booking and guaranteeing price, and quite innovative in the market. And last but not least, we have here Wave. Now, Wave is different here because for 2 reasons. First, because we are not developing Wave. The other we are developing, and Wave is a startup. Gadi will We'll talk about it, but we are cooperating with Wave, and we're integrating Wave into our operational systems. Second, because unlike the others, Wave for us is not a competitive advantage. This is something that we want to deploy throughout the network, and we encourage our competitors to join and implement Wave as well. So for us, the more people will use Wave, the full power of Wave will show. So this is our motto, and we invite everyone to use Wave. It will do good for the industry, and it will do good for all the participants. Gadi, I think you can move on.
Excellent.
We like showing maps, as you know, in the global shipping industry. So this map shows you where we implemented Wave already. So you can see it's quite, it varies between the Far East and Europe, Middle East, and North America. Our start with Wave was, I think we deployed it to production 2 years ago. It was challenging, not because of the technology. The technology is wonderful, Gadi. Thank you. But because it's hard to implement network products, so you need to have everyone on board to enjoy the full capabilities of Wave. You need to the shipper, you need the consignee, you need all the trading partners in between. So it's a challenging deployment. I can tell you that in 2020, we allocated a dedicated team in Zim to push Wave to the field. We are using our sales force of 600 salesperson to push Wave, and we see results. We are getting exponential growth in Zim. Gadi, I think you are going to show it, right?
Indeed, yes. Actually, Oded is being... yes, please.
Yeah, so I will let you present it.
Oded is a very modest guy, but actually what Oded just described is the challenges from moving from presentations and excellent ideas of how blockchain is going to change the world to moving in practice, which means that, okay, we already know that the blockchain is an amazing technology. We already have an interesting use case. Now moving from an idea to actually production and to get customers all around the world to actually use it is of course a big challenge, but Zim became an excellent partner of ours. First of all, because they have the abilities, they have the motivation, they have the interest, and they already managed to issue over 10,000 bills of lading. Bear in mind that every bill of lading counted here was replacing an actual paper that was sent by courier, by DHL, by UPS, by any other international courier from US to Spain, for example, or from Israel to Canada, or it doesn't matter where, which means that, and I will explain a little bit about what a bill of lading is, but Zim is actually doing an excellent work. And to be honest, this is exactly the point of this session, to show the audience what Wave is, how we use the blockchain and why we use the blockchain, and also to show that this is real. And of course, you see Zim here as a top 10 carrier, which is already leading the innovation. And because Zim is already a public company, so I cannot give, and I don't know, any internal information, but we are already talking about full percents, which are moving from paper to electronic documents, only thanks to the blockchain technology. And of course, Wave is a application built. Now another
Gadi, I think we can say that our target is in 2021 to move 10% of our bill of lading to digital bill of lading.
Indeed. And of course, we are sure that we will meet this target, because eventually, and this is the uniqueness about the blockchain, and this is what I will explain. No one can assure that our mission will be a success, which means that no one can assure us that we will transfer or migrate 100% of international trade to electronic documents. But we can say that all other technologies, which means that all centralized technologies, have already tried and failed, and we will explain in a second why they failed. Before that, I do want to add another thing, which here in Israel, of course, COVID-19 is already behind us and completely over, but for the third time, which means that there is a chance that it will still return, even though we are sure that it's already over. But in very high level, you can definitely see that the COVID-19 have actually had a tremendous acceleration to digitization. And the reason, because sending paper by courier is, of course, inefficient. It's not green. It creates expenses. Documents are lost. But trade was always working, so it was always a matter of, I would say, innovation or efficiency activities, while the COVID-19 pandemic have actually brought the attention of the industry that paper can actually be a barrier to digitization. A barrier to the business, because the ports were open, but the airports were closed, so it was just impossible to trade. I'll try to move relatively fast on the presentation in order to leave some time for the demonstration, but in very high level, we have finished with the Zim part, and let's talk a little bit about what is Wave. Before even that, let's explain why trade is so dependent on paper. Why is it still why everything is still so much in a paper format? So here we have a quick example of a supply chain. We have a factory who wants to send a container to the store. The factory is in China, the store is in Israel, for example. So the way that it works today is that the factory produces the goods, takes the goods and puts them and takes them to the port, and then the carrier Zim will onboard them on a ship. In return, the factory will actually receive a bill of lading. This bill of lading will have three functionalities. It's a contract between the factory and the carrier. It's a receipt where the carrier confirms that you received the goods. But the most fundamental part is that the bill of lading is a document of title to the goods in transport, which means that the holder of this piece of paper is the owner of the goods, which means that here, if the importer will not send the bill of lading, will not give the bill of lading to the carrier, then the carrier will not be able to release the goods for him. Now, this bill of lading is issued at the port of loading in Shanghai, for example, and will need to be surrendered here in Haifa or Ashdod. This means that the entire the entire journey of the goods is traveling by sea, of course, on the ship. The documents are sent by courier between all the different participants. The carrier will issue it and will send it to the factory. If banks are involved, so the factory will give it to one bank, Bank of China, for example. Bank of China will then send it to one of the Israeli banks, who will then ask the store to come and pick up the goods. I will not bore you with what is the activity on each and every one of these participants, but you can already imagine or actually vision that it's an extremely inefficient process. Sending a piece of paper between so many different participants is, of course, not a very efficient activity. Of course, in Wave, our uniqueness is that we use the blockchain in order to mirror the way that it works with paper, and I will show it to you in a second. Advantages. So Wave, this is more specific to Wave. Wave is currently the biggest network in the industry. Zim is, of course, an excellent design partner and a huge supporter. But as Oded mentioned, they are not only providing Wave to their customers, they are also inviting their competitors. And out of the top 10 already, 2 carriers are in full production. Another 2 are currently going to production, which means that they are using it as a standalone, but are moving to integration. And another 2 are in proof of concept. This already positioned Wave as the largest network in all aspects, which means that we have the highest amount of documents. And this is mainly because we are the only ones who are able to mirror paper without the need to trust a third party. I will show it during the demonstration. Of course, the network is also growing because of the vast I would say vast efforts that the ocean carriers are spreading. Here you can see in Zim's website, this is where you join Wave. Same thing is with MSC, which today is the largest ocean carrier, which represent over 17% of the containers moving in the industry, moving around the world. So of course, the carriers are not only offering this service, but they are also pushing the network and building the network to ensure that it works. Because again, just like every other blockchain initiative, which is right, and not just using the blockchain for the excellent buzz around it, blockchains are used mainly for network applications. So you need to build a network, and of course, Zim at the top, but other carriers are joining efforts as well. The network, by the way, as you can see, COVID started on the 13th. Here in Wave, you can see that the numbers are growing in a very nice phase. Now, of course, this was mainly on Zim's shoulder. Now, other carriers are joining, so the numbers are jumping dramatically. In April, we already broke our records several times, and the network is growing really on a monthly basis. The COVID-19 have actually accelerated digitization dramatically. Of course, the banking industry is also very much involved. I don't know if you got, of course, this is a fintech weird, so mostly there are at least some bankers here on the line. So between, we've had several publications about activities within the banking industry. Here you can already see that also the large international banks are extremely active and are seeking digitization in international trade. And of course, the carriers and the bill of lading is the essence of trade digitization. Without it, letters of credit will always remain an inefficient tool. Same thing is for documentary collection and all other aspects. So of course, the banking industry is enjoying a lot from the digitization of the bill of lading, and they are joining the efforts as well. And now we will move for a quick demonstration. So I will stop sharing for a second. I will prepare the demonstration and share my screen again. Yes, so here I've prepared a quick demonstration environment just to show you the idea behind Wave. So let's see that I didn't lose my session. Of course I did. So I will log in again. Now, what is unique about Wave is that Wave is a fully decentralized network. This means that here you are saying I'm controlling it through my browser, which means that it's a web-based application, but it's not a SaaS. It's a decentralized application which is controlled through the browser, which means it's a web-based application. Zim, for example, have installed Wave on their own premise. We have other parties, actually just yesterday, one of the parties have migrated Wave from our infrastructure to his infrastructure. And this is the uniqueness about the blockchain and about Wave, where a company like Zim can have today, when they issue a paper bill of lading, they print it, they hold it in their hands, they are not subjected to any third party, because paper will always be associated with inefficiencies. But actually, paper has also some special functionality. The privacy is at the highest level, which means that it's not online at all. So of course, no one can steal the information or know the information which is on this document. For that, you can also do it through decentralized applications, which means that Zim has to have full control. The information cannot sit on our servers. So privacy is, of course, an important aspect, but there is also an even more important aspect, which is control. The bill of lading can represent an oil tanker, which is worth $20 or $30 million. Today, when I hold this paper, even though it's ridiculous, but this is how trade is working today, I hold a piece of paper which which is actually showing the ownership of a full oil tanker, which is now somewhere in Canal Suez, for example. In this paper document is in my hand. I can put it in my safe. I can put it in my pocket. No one can block my account. Paper is fully decentralized, just like all cash has the exact same issue. All the centralized technologies have failed to provide this unique value proposition, have an independent electronic way to transfer the documents across the supply chain. Now, because these are documents of title, which mean that you cannot have 10 copies of the same bill of lading. When you issue a bill of lading, you can only have one original copy at any point of time. This means that all the existing communication technologies like email, fax, Swift, any other technology that you can think of, they are all not supporting such documents, because when I send an email, I can send it to multiple participants. Same thing is with Swift. There is no ownership, there is no original which is being transferred and delivered between the parties, and the blockchain or centralized ledgers are the only ones that can ensure that a bill of lading cannot be used twice, double spend, the basic functionality of the blockchain. So Wave is the only one which actually use the blockchain in a fully decentralized way, which means that when you install Wave on premise, you don't need our servers, you don't have our, we don't see the information, we don't get the information, everyone can join, privacy at the highest levels, and this is the uniqueness about what we develop. Now, of course, the blockchain is the main buzzword. There are many technologies and P2P communication technologies which are used to solve identities. The documents, of course, they cannot be sent over the blockchain. We had to anonymize the blockchain in order to ensure that no one can track the activity of Zim, for example. So we've had to implement many changes in the blockchain in order to ensure that it works, but we always kept the same thing. It has to be fully decentralized, otherwise it will just not work, because you can never convince the Chinese, the American, the European, the Israelis, and I don't know, countries in Africa or in Asia to agree on a centralized service provider who will manage the ledger. It's just impossible. And this is why decentralized technologies are the only ones that can actually solve it, because they're all the only ones that can mirror paper. Now, how does it actually look, or how does it work? It looks like an email. You see a very simple, now of course this is a testing environment, so everything here mentions as test, but this is a completely live environment. So when you open up a bill of lading, you can see, when you open up an envelope, in Wave it's not emails, it's envelope, you can see two documents. One of them is saying packing list. I will not explain what is a packing list, but packing list is just a normal document that can be sent also by email. So you can see that nothing is marked on the document. The bill of lading, on the other hand, is a document of title to the goods in transport. This means that whoever physically holds the original has legal rights. And it works like a check, which means that I hold it and then I can endorse it to the next party. So in Wave, we have the bill of lading. Currently, Wave indicates that we are the possessor and that the surrender is authorized. Now, I will issue a new bill of lading. The EBL for shipment 12345, and I will send it to my US exporter, which is a customer of mine. Of course, identities, everything is managed in a decentralized manner. And now I will issue a new EBL. Issuing a new EBL. Now you see that I'm browsing. I don't actually make the bill of lading on Wave. The reason for that is that the industry was, of course, Zim is not manually issuing a bill of lading. The bill of lading is generated on their ERP, as Oded mentioned. Then Zim is already integrated, so they are not doing all these manual steps, but in general, save it as PDF, import it into Wave, and then turn it into an original electronic negotiable document. Now, of course, bills of lading is our core activity, but we are also doing bank guarantees and prom notes and many other documents which suffer from the same problems. They need to be unique, and email is just not good enough. By the way, Johnny, I can continue speaking forever. Let me know when you want me to start cutting off. I write here the shipper. I just show how a bill of lading is being issued, and then if we still have time, I may answer some questions. So we have created the shipper, which is the first holder of the title, then the consignee, which is the first a recipient of the title once a bill of lading is issued. Now, the reason why I'm explaining it is to explain that, of course, the technology is just one aspect. In Wave, we also developed the entire legal infrastructure because, of course, a bill of lading is a very sensitive document. So we had to ensure that it's also legal for the carriers to do it. And of course, we got all the industry confirmations. So I have issued the bill of lading. Now, the bill of lading itself is just a normal bill of lading, which means that it's the exact same bill of lading that Zim is used to issue. Of course, this is just a draft. All the information is not correct. But the idea is that we have the exact same bill of lading, but in a fully electronic format. Now, when you are integrated, so you can also, the carrier is now starting to add also metadata to the bill of lading, so that you will also be able to extract all these fields to your TMS, whether you are a buyer, a seller, a bank, or any other party across the supply chain. Now, I've added a bill of lading. You saw I needed to mention some things, but I can also add normal documents, which you can send today by email. I will add them anyway, because this is just a service for the customers, which means that Wave uses the blockchain only when we need to, which means that the blockchain is an extremely expensive and inefficient technology. You don't need it for all the documents. All documents can be electronically signed. You always know the source, but you don't need a blockchain for that. We use the blockchain just to ensure that there is one original copy at any point of time. And now Zim issues the original. As soon as I will press send, Wave will connect this specific bill of lading to a blockchain token, a token from the technology. There is no ICO or cryptocurrency at all in Wave. So we connect this bill of lading to a specific token, then we send it to the next party. In our case, it's the US exporter. We send the documents directly, P2P, between the participants. Then we also publish a blockchain transaction transferring the specific token that Zim have allocated for this bill of lading. So the recipient knows that he has the document and he has the token. This means that he has an original. Once he will send it to the next party, he will send the document and the token. He will still have a copy of the document for reference, but he will not have the original anymore, because without the token, it's just a copy. Now, I've issued the bill of lading. You see from the user perspective, it's very simple. Most of our customers, they don't know what blockchain means, or if they know, they don't know that Wave has blockchain. They know mostly about Bitcoin and others. So the user experience is very simple, and you see the blockchain aspects mainly on the document status. Here we are sending possession. You see the envelope that I just sent is still in my outbox. Once it will arrive to the other side, then it will move to the sent items. In parallel, the blockchain transaction was published, and we are waiting for the next. We count 2 blocks. After 2 blocks, then it will change to send possession. Then we don't have the original anymore. It's changed to whoever we sent it to. And then we are just sitting as Zim. We are sitting and waiting until we will receive it back at the end of the journey. Of course, without this original bill of lading, we will never release the cargo. So this was in very high level, just a quick example of how we use the blockchain and for what. Now, of course, I'm not sure how would you like to run this, Johnny. Feel free to let me know if you want us to.
Gadi, I think there are 2 questions at least in the Q&A section. So maybe you'd like to.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we could start wrapping up, if we can take those 2 questions, but if we can do it quickly. I know it's a tough one, but it's a test. If you can just answer those questions quickly, and then if we can wrap up, that would be great. We'll be better next session.
Sure, I will be extra quick. Okay, does Wave use a single blockchain provider, or it's able to integrate between any native blockchain? So Wave is designed on the application layer. We can migrate between networks even after production. We are actually now moving between blockchains as we speak, as we say. We cannot transfer a document between blockchains, but we can just keep a blockchain and have and work in parallel. By definition, Wave is designed to support multiple blockchains, because we know that blockchains are going to evolve and we don't want to be left behind because we chose the wrong one. So it's designed to allow that. BL over digital signatures such as DocuSign. Okay, what are the benefits of using a blockchain BL over a digital signature such as DocuSign? So DocuSign, first of all, they are not designed for such activity, which means that they are designed for agreements, for just signatures. Now, the uniqueness about Wave is that we actually move the document between different participants. If DocuSign is just, think of it like a bucket, everyone goes to this bucket to sign on this document, but the document is not, it's nothing, it's just a record on DocuSign's servers, so you cannot transfer it between the participants. It's not designed for that. If they will change their activity and will focus on, and will add support to bills and to endorsements, still they will be left as a centralized service provider, which is, you have centralized service providers already for 30 years, but 99% of trade is still using paper, which means that centralized technologies are just not good enough. It's just not good enough to digitize trade. In Wave, the document is actually moving between the participants, which means that you install Wave on your own servers, and then I send it to you. Then you forward it to the next party. So Wave architecture is the exact opposite of DocuSign. And this is why it is used not, you can use it for agreements, but for that you have DocuSign. For bills and certificates, you just cannot use DocuSign, and this is where Wave shines. I'm only 10 minutes behind, Johnny. I think that
that's all right. That's all right.
But I started 15 minutes behind, so I'm actually in a plus.
Yeah. Well, yeah. One way of looking at it. Yeah, you can't have a conference that runs on time. It's not, especially in fintech. It's not cool. But guys, I just want to thank you really for a really special presentation, and for taking the time to join us, Gadi and Oded. Thank you very much. If we can please show appreciation with, we've got a little emoji app